Frontline with Kortney Kenny, and I'm Tom Parisi, and today we got a great set of guests. It's another episode of the Frontline Podcast. I'm Tom Parisi, Kortney Kenny alongside as well, and today is first appearance on the show, number 21 in your hearts, and number 1 in your hearts too, Brandon Coe of the North Bay Battalion, longtime player, is joining us and recent draft pick of the San Jose Sharks. How awesome is that? Just take us through that whole experience of being drafted by the Sharks.
That was a dream come true. To be honest, I think I only had one interview with them before the draft, and I thought a few other teams had more interest, and I thought that's where I was going to end up. But once San Jose called my name and I was picked by them, it was a shock and a dream come true at the same time. But overall, I'm really happy of where I ended up. So,
how many other teams? Great. How many other teams showed interest?
I pretty much talked to every team in the NHL, but some teams show more interest. Where Arizona or Florida, you say you have 4 or 5 meetings with them, and then say with San Jose, you only have 1 meeting with them, and you don't think they have as much interest in you. But that's the way of the draft. You don't really know what's going to happen and how things go on. And I was ended up picked by San Jose, and I'm really happy about it.
When you're talking about 4 or 5 interviews with one team, like, what else do they need to know? Like, after the one time, what else do they need to know?
I have no clue, but I don't know. I guess they just like to pick your brain more and see how you are as a person, ask you questions about hockey, see if you really study the game and if you're truly interested in it or not. And I think they just try to get to know you as a person more than a hockey player, because they're going to pick you in the draft. They're investing in you long term and see where you will develop in the future. And I think that's just why they try to get to know you a bit more.
We've talked to a lot of the guys that were coming into training camp this year for the battalion, you know, how they went through a draft without getting to really play or anything like that. But you went through the NHL draft in the strangest of circumstances. What was that like itself, you know, with the everything being online and everything?
Yeah, it was weird. Once the season got shut down in March, I thought we were just going to go home for a couple of weeks and come back and get the season going again and finish it out. But obviously that didn't happen. And a year and a half later, almost, we're back here, and I feel like it's my first time being in the city again. And it was definitely a weird draft, and just sitting in the living room, watching on the TV with a few family members around. Sort of felt like the OHL draft when it was online. And but luckily I had my dad there, and which was really nice. Because if it was a regular year and the draft was in Montreal, I wasn't sure if he was going to make the trip out or not, in the condition that he was in at the time. So overall, I think it was more a blessing for my family that we were able to stay home and just watch that at our house. So yeah, I'm thankful for that, honestly.
How important was it to spend that quality time and have that moment with your dad?
Oh, it was really important for me. You know, he's the one that took me to the rinks when I was a kid, and even before, just my last year before going into the OHL, he was the one bringing me to the rinks, and my mom did it too. But I don't know. I think it's just more the father-son time that you do in hockey, and you share that bond of the game. And having him there on draft day right next to me just meant the world to me. And I think he got more of a kick out of it when he heard my name called than me. So I was really happy to see the big smile on his face, and just basically a little bit of relief that we finally heard my name, and got to celebrate the rest of the day, which was nice too.
I wanted to ask about that article that you wrote in the Players Tribune as well about your dad and everything shortly after the draft. How nice was that to be able to get that out there and into the public while, you know, everything was kind of happening and getting drafted by San Jose? It was a busy time for you.
Yeah, it was great. Luckily, my agent got to set it up where I could share my story on a big platform like the Players Tribune, and yeah, it really means a lot for me that they gave me the opportunity to showcase what my family has gone through, and what my dad had to deal with, and how strong of a man he was. And yeah, just being able to share my story and have it out there, and just have it as a keepsake for a long time to come. And definitely really proud and happy the way it's reached out to people, and how well it was on social media. So
Well,
yeah, really
listen,
thankful for that.
you don't have to answer, but I just wanted to say I know Kortney and I, we both read it. And to have that amount going on up here and out there at the same time and doing what you did on the ice, at school, and what have you, is still pretty remarkable, not taking anything away from your dad or anything like that. But I thought you came out pretty strong on that end too, because not a lot of people would have the guts to share a story like that, let alone with other people or players, let alone the world.
Mm-hmm.
So we just wanted to sell that. We just wanted to say that to you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Moving on, playing in the AHL though, I mean, that's an opportunity that someone your age at the time wouldn't have really gotten an opportunity because of rules and everything. But thanks to COVID, you got to play a bit with the Barracudas. Take us through that experience.
Yeah, another weird situation, just waiting around for the OHL to start up, and I was talking to my agent, thinking about going to overseas, playing a year there. And I think it was a few days before Christmas, San Jose called, and they wanted me to come out to Arizona, and that's where training camp would be, since San Jose was still shut down for rinks and whatnot. So we ended up spending a month and a bit out there in Arizona before we went back to San Jose. But yeah, overall it was a great year, and a lot of development was done down there for myself. And yeah, really thankful for the opportunity I had there, and hopefully I can go to camp on the 14th here and get myself a contract, and hopefully make the turn to go pro. And if not, come back to the battalion and get to work for another year, and see where the road takes me after that. So
what aspect of
no, go ahead.
I was just about to say, what aspect of your game did they ask you to work on the most?
Just the wall work. When you're in your D zone, especially in the AHL, you don't really have a lot of time with the puck on the half wall, and I think that was the biggest adjustment for me going to pro hockey, was just the time and space compared to the OHL. You don't have a lot of it, and guys are on you right away when you get the puck. So you have to make your decision quick or get your feet moving, make a play that way. But I think just adjusting to the time and space was the biggest thing for me. Luckily, towards the end of the year, I was finally starting to get it dialed in, and but it was closer to the end of the season when I was starting to get more comfortable. But now I know how the pace and everything should be played at, and I'll just use that to carry forward.
Moving ahead with the Sharks, you mentioned going to their camp and stuff. What are you looking forward to about going down to San Jose this time around and getting a camp under your belt like that?
I think just learning from guys like Brent Burns and Eric Carlson and Logan Couture, guys like that. You don't get to be around too often, and when you get the chance to go on the ice with them, you just watch the little things that they do, and try to take that and put it into your game. I think just learning as much as possible and trying to soak it all up for the week or 2 weeks that I'll be down there, and hopefully maybe I'll stay even longer. But I think just trying to be a sponge and soak up the most information I can as possible.
I personally hope you get to meet Patrick Marleau.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody's played more NHL games than that guy. So, I mean, if there's something you can learn, he probably knows it.
Oh yeah, I don't doubt that.
Would you go as far as like asking like any of the Sharks players for autographs or anything like that?
No, I don't think I would do that. I think just asking them questions about hockey would be just filling it up for me. I don't think I would need an autograph for any of them. I think just having their time and just being able to have a conversation with them and just pick their brain a little bit would go a lot more than asking for an autograph. But it would be cool, but I don't think I'd be asking that.
It might be one of those until you're in the league a little bit longer type of questions, probably.
Yeah, I think so too.
So this past week, of course, busy on the ice with the battalion. What was that kind of like to get? You mentioned this your first time back in the city since the shutdown and everything, but getting back on the ice at the Gardens, getting reacquainted with some old teammates and meeting some new guys as well.
Yeah, it was awesome. I only really saw Josh Curry and then Liam Arnsby throughout the last year and a half because they're local guys around me in Toronto, and we work out together. So I got to see those guys pretty much every day in the summer. And but it was nice seeing the rest of the boys, like James Mayotte and Simon Rose, the guys that live out in Ottawa. I didn't get to see them. And but I think just being back at the rink with the boys and being in the dressing room again, it was great. And then on the ice too, I think you said you guys were at the games, right?
I was, yeah.
Yeah, I think if you guys were there, just watching the games, you could see the intensity and the compete level that was out on the ice from the young guys and the older guys too. So I think it was probably one of the most intense and most competitive camps I've been a part of in North Bay so far, and I think that's a great sign right off the start. So yeah, really happy with what the boys have been doing so far.
Cozy, I want to get your take on the last two first-round draft picks of the team, Ty Nelson and Owen Outwater. What do you think?
I love them. They look great. Of course, Nelly, really quick and offensive defenseman. I think sort of like a style, sort of like Cam Dineen for my first year that I would compare him to. Hopefully he pans out to what Cam was, and I think that'd be great for the city and great for the organization. So the first couple of weeks he looks really good, and same with Outwater too. He's going to fill out over the next couple of years when he's playing in the league, and I think both those guys have a lot of potential for sure.
Were you able to kind of be that veteran presence for them? Did they ask any questions because you were a high pick yourself coming into the league, like what to expect, how to deal with some things?
Yeah, for sure. There's always guys not sure how camp would go along and what they need to do, and asking what fitness testing is all about and stuff like that. And yeah, just trying to be a leader in the dressing room and showing the boys what to do in practice, just setting the compete level and the pace during the drills, and just overall just trying to be a guy that my teammates can come to and ask for advice or ask for help on the ice and whatever they need. So yeah, definitely different from a couple years ago when I was just a third year guy and I had Chenier and Struthers around me. So yeah, it's definitely a different role this year, but I've been enjoying it so far, being the older guy.
Has the coaching staff or management talked to you about taking on more leadership responsibilities or anything like that?
Not yet. I think they just said be a leader out there and just try to do as much as I can and show the boys how we want to do things around here and have I think the biggest thing that Uli wants this year is just everyone to compete at and I think if you're competing every day in practice, it's just going to lead into the game. So I think that's the biggest thing that we gotta do on the ice, and what I have to do to lead the boys as well. So yeah.
How tough is it, with going off to San Jose and there being some uncertainty about where you're going to be this year? You're either going to be in San Jose or you're going to be in North Bay. How tough is it to kind of get into a mindset or a flow type of thing without really knowing exactly where you're going to be?
Yeah, it's definitely not ideal. But I think just focusing on the task at hand right now, and that's me being in North Bay and trying to be the best teammate I can possibly be right now for the time being that I'm here. And then once I go to San Jose, I'll focus on what I have to do there. But if I come back, I think that's when I'll start to understand and what's going on with the leadership role and stuff like that, and what I have to do to be a great teammate this season for the boys. And I think just focusing on the task at hand with getting the boys ready for their first exhibition game coming up in the next couple of weeks here. So yeah, just focusing on things in North Bay for the time being.
There's a lot of hype around your team, at least locally, the Battalion. I mean, people are jonesing to see you guys. Is the hype real? Like, should people be that excited about some of the guys, yourself, who've come up with the team so far?
I do. I really think so. And I think from the fans that were at the development camp games will say the same thing. I think a lot of guys that were drafted and are coming into their first year in the league, I think they're going to have some great years. And I think we're going to shock a lot of people by surprise in the league. You know, over the past couple of years, obviously we didn't really have the seasons that we wanted to. Missing the playoffs my last year, and even before that, my first 2 years in the league or first round exits. So we haven't really had fantastic years in North Bay since I've been here. But I think moving forward into this season, I think the city of North Bay should be really happy and really pumped of what we have for us this season.
Yeah, one question I get asked sometimes is, are the battalion actually going to be good, or is it just the hype because of the pandemic? And I said, well, I'm the worst person to ask because I've been drinking the Kool-Aid, pretty hard doing this podcast for the past little bit. But after going to see training camp this week, I got to tell you, this is the most excited I've been in a long time. You guys look great out there, so it's going to be great.
Yeah, I really think so too.
Was there any cobwebs though when you guys jump on the ice? Like, was there any rust, or was everybody just giving her the entire time?
Maybe there was a little bit of cobwebs for some guys, but I know I got to play last season, which is really good. And I think in most places everyone was able to skate all summer. So I think guys coming into this camp were ready and ready to go for sure. So I don't think there was too much cobwebs, but maybe we'll see when we have our first exhibition games, see how guys are going to react in that. But that's another thing. That's another thing for in a couple of weeks. But hopefully we'll get them prepared for that. So yeah, we'll see if the cobwebs will have to be shaken off for those exhibition games, but hopefully not.
I think when it comes to you, the cobwebs definitely weren't there because you mentioned you played, but I think you scored a goal in like the first 30 seconds in each game that you played. So it was just like absolutely silly. And one of the things was they had asked me, can you take video for us, get Nelson coming out on the ice the first time, all that stuff, right? And then they were like, oh, the game that you were playing, they said, we want some of the vets, we want Arnsby and we want Coe. So I'm up there taking a video of the opening face off of the first game that you're out there playing. And I just stopped taping, and then you go and put one in the net. I'm like, of course. Perfect.
I was wondering why I wasn't getting any social media touches. It was all the young guys. I wasn't getting any love.
Well, I had it. I did have it. And then I was like, okay, nothing's going to happen in this shift. And the next thing, as soon as I stopped recording. So
yeah,
that's all.
Didn't even post my shootout goal either. I thought it was pretty nice.
I wasn't filming that, and so I'll give you that one. That one's on them. The first one's on me. So
that's all right. I'm just joking around with you.
Well, I'll take the blame. It's all good.
Give it to him. He deserves it. Lazy butt.
Well, I got a question for you, Kortney.
All right, I'll try and answer.
Well, my billet dad is Larry Tugas, and
yeah.
I think you guys know each other pretty well.
Oh yeah, he used to be my baseball coach.
Yeah, and he told me to ask you what happened at your first Blue Jays game.
So
that's a great story.
So do you not know this? He hasn't told you the story, has he?
Oh, I know bits and pieces, but I just want to hear it from you.
Okay,
it's a good story.
So okay, we're putting me on the spot. All right, so Larry, Mr. Tugas to me, because he's a high school coach and high school teacher. I can't not call him Mr. Tugas even to this day. I haven't been in high school in like 10 years, but he's still Mr. Tugas. So he gets us, the high school ball team, to go down and play at the Rogers Center. And we were going to go to a Jays game later that day. Never been to a Jays game, but I'm like, all right, like, let's go. I'm pretty excited. Game was great. Got to play. It's the only time we had this pitcher on our team, Dale Vlad. Couldn't hit him to save my life, but I hit a double off him. I was so happy. I did get thrown out going to second, so I guess technically it was a single. But I wasn't the fleetest of foot, but whatever. It's also a big ball field. I got to pitch off the mound. That was also sick. I got to like make it sound cool before it gets to this point. So we finally get to the game later. It's the Oakland A's. They're doing batting practice, and I sit down and he already knows the punchline of the joke coming up. Like, sitting down and the Jumbotron comes on and I'm just kind of in awe. And This Week in Baseball comes on and then next thing I get a, hey, heads up. And I just kind of look and it's like time stood still. I still have the ball too. Time stood still and I see the ball in my vision, smacks me in the face. There's blood everywhere. I got like a white Jays jersey on. It's just everywhere. I got
It was
the ball.
brand new jersey.
Yeah, brand new jersey. And um yeah, there's blood everywhere. I have the ball in my glove. The security guard on the field's trying to give me Kleenex to like mop up the blood, but I just put it up to my mouth and it's just like getting soaked like instantly. I'm thinking I've lost a tooth. No, it split my lip open, and Mr. Tugas and Dale Vlad took me to St. Mike's Hospital. And I got 3 stitches, and we were back for the 3rd inning.
Hey, that's fast.
Yeah. I remember I called my mom when I was in the room waiting for the stitches, and I'm like, hey, you'll never guess where I am. She's like, oh, at the Jays game. I'm like, no, I'm at St. Mike's about to get stitched up. Like,
I'm sure your mom loved that call.
But I still have the ball. It still has blood on it. I wish I had it. It's not in my room
You
right
showed
now.
that to me.
Yeah,
I think I've seen that ball. Yeah.
I have it, and I still have the hospital wristband, and it's in like a little glass case and everything. And yeah, but yeah, Mr. Tugas came in clutch for that. So, but did he tell you the other interesting part about that story? That's
Go
the
on.
question. Did he tell you? He didn't tell you who was with us, eh? Who was chaperoning?
No.
Okay. So you remember the 2016 Blue Jays wildcard game? Edwin Encarnacion, the home run, everything.
Yeah.
You remember the guy who threw the beer can on the field?
No.
Yes.
Ken Pagan. He was chaperoning on that trip with us. And we went down in like, there was 3 vans like that took the team down. And he was the one that was driving the van that I was in. And he was our like coach for the day and everything. And he was standing next to me when I'm like gushing out blood. He's like taking the shirt off to like mop up the blood and everything. On the way back on the highway, it goes down to 90. He got pulled over I'm in the back. It's like 3 a.m. I still have like a big bandage on my face and everything. He gets pulled over for like doing like 120 in the 90 zone. And then we ran out of gas just as we got to North Bay, and Mr. Tugas had to come and give us a gas can.
Jesus. What a trip down to Toronto.
Yeah. It was the trip from hell, basically. But yeah, Mr. Tugas has known me since I was probably only came up to his knee. He's been around in a lot of baseball moments of my life, but that one definitely takes the cake. So that's a good one. But now I got to turn it around on you. There's one question that I've been dying to ask you. And it's kind of been one that it's not really a funny one. It's more of a serious one. It comes to hockey, obviously, because why else are we here on this podcast? The last year you were here, you start the season a little slow. Things aren't going, maybe your way in your draft year. Things aren't clicking for you and the team. I wanted to ask, the change happens and then you go off. Like you literally just went off as one of the best players in the league. You're a point a game player. What changed in your game? What did you do to basically take control and become one of the best players?
I think when Ryan came in, there was we started to play a different playing style, more calibrated to my style of play. I got the puck in my hands more often, and I got to create more off the rush and using my speed and my vision. And don't get me wrong, I love Stan as a coach and I love him as a person. But I think once Ryan came in, he sort of switched it into a newer style of hockey, just more of a run and gun type style of play. And I think my game plays into that a little bit better. And then once the puck started going in the net, and obviously my confidence started to go up, and I think that helped a lot too. But yeah, I definitely owe Ryan a lot. Just basically bringing my game up. Gave me more opportunity. Started to play better on the power play, and I think honestly, just over in general, I think we started to play better as a team. I think the boys got a lot closer, and we started to win some hockey games. And I think once everyone gets tighter as a group and everyone's confidence starts to go up, everyone's individual success will get better too. So I think that's what happened.
Sounds good to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
One of the last questions that we got for you after you've dragged out one of my repressed memories from me. One of the last ones I got, you go off to the top prospects game. What was that experience like for you?
It was awesome. Luckily I got voted in, or however they do it, for that game. But I was really happy to get that call from Denny, Adam Dennis. He called me during the day one time after practice and basically told me that I was invited to the top prospects game. And I was really excited. And I always remember watching it on TV. And basically, if you get invited to that game, there's a pretty good chance you're going to get drafted. And I think it was one of my goals going into the year. I wanted to get invited to that game, and luckily I did. And it was definitely a fun week down in Hamilton. We got to do some on ice testing and have a couple practices as a team, and then obviously we had the game in Hamilton, and that's the first time I've seen Hamilton sold out, which was pretty cool. A little shot at them, but
it's true though.
But yeah, it is true. The rink is huge.
There's just so much room.
Yeah, but it was cool to see the whole bowl filled up, which was nice. Definitely a loud crowd that game too, which is cool. So yeah, it was a great week.
No doubt. Well, Brandon, we really do appreciate your time today, and hopefully the next time we're talking to you, you're a member of the San Jose Sharks full time. But if you come back to North Bay, we won't be terribly upset either. We're hoping to see you dominate in the O as well. If that's the plan, who knows?
Yep.
And thanks again for bringing up a really traumatic memory from my past. I really appreciate it.
I got put up to it. It's not don't put it on me. Big Larry asked me to ask you about your first Jays game, and he told me the story at dinner just about 20 minutes ago. So I had to get it out on the podcast for everyone.
Well, I appreciate
I'm glad you did.
I really do, and make sure you pass along my thanks. I really appreciate it. I'm sure I'll see him at a couple of games this year.
Yeah, he'll be there.
Perfect.
And I remember, and this is nothing against Cozy, but I remember the first time I ever interviewed him. He was such a tough talker, and it was so tough to get an answer out of the poor kid. And he's come miles since. So hey, you know what? Good on him for getting that kind of skill into his game, even though it doesn't translate on the ice. It certainly helps our cause a bunch. I'm Tom Parisi's Kortney Kenny. This is the Frontline Podcast. And Kortney, you had the opportunity to actually check out some game action, semi-game action, if you will, when it comes to training camp.
Yeah.
I mean, I need to get your thoughts. I'm 5.5 hours away. It's a little bit tougher for old Tom here, but you know, what'd you see? What'd you like? And we've got some like transaction news to get through too. And at the end of the episode.
Yeah, we definitely need to get you up here for a game. Well, you know, on the bright side, we've hit it before. They are in the Sioux quite a bit in October. So the very second game, the Sioux's home opener. Look at that. Boom. Circle it on your calendar, October 8th. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. Because it had been a while, it was a lot of fun. But it was a lot of fun to see these guys that you've heard a lot of. You know, the Nelsons, the Wakeleys, you know, the Mathurins, the DiVincencis, the Van Steensels, you know, all those guys from the 2020 draft. And then you also get to see the guys from the 2021 draft, you know, the Outwaters, the Seamas, the Romanis. And he's from the 2020 draft, and we're probably going to butcher his name, but I've heard president of the team, Mike Griffin, call him Michael Podaluch. So we're going to go with Podaluch. And if that's wrong, you know, well, you know where to find us, where the hotline is.
You don't know where to find me. That's the best part.
Yeah. Well, this week I met a lot of people that know now where to find me. But yeah, no, the games are great. The intensity level was insane. Like there felt like there was a lot on the line for some of these players. I touched on it briefly before we went to air with Brandon. With the first portion, but that Cameron Govro, he's a guy to look out for. He's still part of the roster right now going into the preseason, I believe. He's a defenseman. He has some tenacity to his game. He went after Brandon Coe in just the second scrimmage. I think there was a bit of a scuffle in the first game with him as well. And then he dropped the gloves with Alex Christopoulos in the very final scrimmage game. So Yeah. There was
They're
some
so
intensity.
soft spoken. I can't imagine them fighting.
I think Alex came in there with a bit of a chip on his shoulder too, because he got a high stick in one of the first scrimmage games and wasn't very happy about it. And I think it just kind of carried over for the next day and a half. But there was a lot of excitement, and it didn't feel like any of the players, even part of the cuts, it like for the most part, the guys that didn't make it to the last scrimmage game, a lot like it didn't feel like no, but like it felt like everyone belonged. You know, yeah, I'm sure it was a very tough, couple of days for the brass, like Denny and John Winstanley and all them and Ryan Houlihan um, but it was fun. Even the goalies, like the first guys that were cut were Carter Robertson and Colton Boré. They both had excellent games on the first day. Reese Prue had some great moments. Dom DiVincentis, he looks like he's going to be a steal of the draft as well. And Joe Verbetic had looked good in his new goalie pads, and he had some good moments. It was a lot of fun. You could tell, there was maybe a little bit of drag to the game on Thursday morning because it had been a lot, but I can't say enough good things. And you know what? I gotta say, I don't really want to single out really too many of the guys because a lot of guys did a lot of great, but of the newcomers, Wakely and Sema, they look really good. They look dangerous out there.
Sema had 4 goals in the games, and
Yep.
that was the team lead. Guys like Brandon Coe had 3, so that'll tell you a lot about how things are going. And Wakely too. I can't wait to see them on the ice. All things considered, because we know the hype. We've talked about the hype. We probably spread the hype, but I still want to see them on the ice. I still want to see how it all shakes out, and I just can't wait to see how this team is all put together. Early word on the street is we can at least announce this: Joe Verbetic's going to be the starting goalie this year.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty safe bet. I gotta say though, just on your point of wanting to see them on the ice, Wakely, just he's gonna hate me for bringing this up. If he's listening, he kind of snuck one past Joe in his second. So he played the first scrimmage, he sat out the second, and then he played the morning of the Wednesday. And that was the other thing too. Like Coe scored 3 goals, but he only played 3 games. Like he's
going to score goals. I mean,
oh yeah,
whether he's
absolutely.
with us or the Barracuda or the Sharks, even,
yeah,
he's going to score goals.
Yeah. But anyway, so Wakely came in. It was Joe's first start of the camp, which was the Wednesday morning, and he snuck one past Joe, like right early in the game. And then Joe kind of locked it down. But then later on in the game, we're talking about a 16, 17-year-old kid here, and he just like roofed it right past Joe, like on a clean shot. There was nobody blocking him. They were just standing right there in the offensive like face-off circle, and he just got it right past Joe. And I'm like, nothing against Joe, he's a heck of a goalie, and nothing against Wakely, he's a heck of a player after what I've seen. But this is a kid is sniping on a Montreal Canadiens prospect.
That says it all, right? I mean, that's all. You know what? Analysis done. If you need more, you don't know hockey. But I think it's impressive. I was just counting like the roster, who's left, right? Because they still got Simon Rose, Paul Christopoulos, Mayotte, Ty Hollett, Tanias Mathurin, Cam Govro still there, Wyatt Kennedy and Ty Nelson. That's 8, along with Alexander Lukin.
Yep.
So, I mean, 9 defensemen. And I'm sure there's going to be maybe a couple of these gentlemen who get cut. And it's a shame because, well, let's put it this way. If they end up at the Voodoos, get your Voodoos season tickets as soon as you can.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be a good year, I think. But, I mean, wow, what great depth to have. Because, again, I think back to the year I got there where they were playing 4 defensemen and Daniel Walker was the 5th defenseman. And I think a lesson was learned in all that, in carry a little bit more than you need. And that, too, guys bring different dimensions to the game.
Yep.
You talk about Cam Govro. I mean, when you're taking on some teams who like to mix it up a little bit, I want him in my corner.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want him in the press box. I want him on the ice. And even if he maybe he can, even if he's bringing that grit and that size and that tenacity, maybe you put him on the third and fourth line. Why not?
Yep.
Like if his skating can match, try it.
Yep.
And that just adds another tool in his toolbox where he can say, I can play both forward defense and I can bring that physical aspect every team wants at the bottom of their lineup. Some people at the top.
Yep. No, that's exactly it. And you one
I
of the
forgot,
names,
Avery Winslow.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. See, that's the thing is Winslow didn't attend, Lukin, Petrov, and Primo didn't attend camp. So those guys, I mean, we've already talked to Mason. It seems unlikely he's probably coming back. Winslow's at Tampa's camp, which is going to be a great experience for him. I mean, you're going in there with back-to-back Stanley Cup champ players on the roster, and you're going to be learning from John Cooper. Like, come on now. And then Lukin's just going to make his way over, they think, by the end of September, and Petrov's going off to go to camp and bump shoulders with, some guy named Connor McDavid. So they did no big deal.
Was it not Uli who was saying like steal of the draft, maybe?
Oh yeah, 100%. Could very well be, in that 6th round. And well, I think we're going to see him light up the O this year because he played pretty good in Russia last year. He's one of the few guys that got to play last year, him, Coe, and that's really it. When you look at this roster. Oh, Podoluch played again. I hate
Sweden.
saying he played overseas. Again, apologies if we're mispronouncing your name.
We'll have you on the show. You can correct it.
Yeah. But one name I did want to bring up, that you had mentioned when you're mentioning the defense, James Mayotte. He had a really good camp too. He was all over the ice. He was a guy that was kind of the 7th D, the last time the battalion played, was playing some sheltered minutes here and there, didn't really get into every game. He was in and out of the lineup, but he really looked good in camp. I think he's really pushing for a spot higher up in the lineup this time around for sure.
And good for him. I mean, these guys deserve they've been working so hard the entire time, and it's just good to see them finally get that opportunity. And the city of North Bay really needs something like. Now, I'm not going to put too much stock into it because we've yet to see him play, but there's a good chance he does light up the O. And Matvei Petrov, I think they've been aching for a player. One, taken first overall in the import draft. That says a lot.
Yep.
And 2, someone who can just be electrifying on the ice, right? They haven't had that in a little while. Someone who can just, he brings you out of your seat. He brings you to your seat from your house. I mean, the city needs something like that to just get really excited about. And it's been missing the last few years. I mean, they had Braz, and we'll talk about him in just a second too, but they had him. But he was kind of by himself, him and Struthers a little bit. But I think there's so much potential on this team. Like, did you watch Petrov and Coe? Maybe.
Yeah.
Line up with Wakely at center, or
Arnsby.
I mean, geez, Louise, it's getting intense here. And I think it's just something they so sorely need. And a guy and they got NHL draftees on the team now, like Joe. And maybe if Primo comes back, if Coe sticks around, you guys with pedigree, guys with a certain, swagger. Teams can't come into North Bay anymore and play the backup goalie.
Yeah.
So that's something they've been lacking for a long time now. And it seems like they're on the right path to make the Gardens, the bunker, if you will, a scary place to play.
Yeah.
Like, I want teams to walk in there and go, crap, we got to deal with Arnsby tonight. Verbedik's been on top of his game. I'm going to get hit 400 times before I make it to just one corner battle. I want this to be just damn hard to play in. And it sounds like that's what's going to happen.
Well, I was told a story that I'm trying to remember the exact way it went. Anyways, it was shortly after the 2020 OHL draft. Speaking of Liam Arnsby. And I want to say, and I might get the details wrong, but I want to say Liam Arnsby's dad had texted Denny or something afterwards and said, just so you know, Liam hated playing against Nelson, and that's a good thing. So, like that's kind of, the hope that rubs off on other teams. Because, if Nelson's that good that he's getting under Arnie's skin, when Arnie's the type of guy that goes and gets under other people's skins, and all that stuff. And it's just, you mentioned it perfectly. It's going to be a tough place to play in. And that's what we heard the first few years the battalion were here, was how tough Memorial Gardens was to play in, because the team just came at you with 4 lines. They came at you with 3 solid pairings, and they had Jake Smith and net bailing out any mistake. And then they had the fans on top of it. Like, I don't know if you ever got around to asking Brent Moran about what it was like when he played here for Niagara in the first playoff series.
No.
Fans did not like him. There was a chance of Moran over and over again every time he touched the puck.
I feel like you could change his name to certain things.
Well, yeah.
I feel like the fans would not hold anything back. Plus, I love the fans in North Bay.
Yeah.
I miss them. I really do.
It was just funny when they went and traded for him. I was like, oh, wait a sec. Is he gonna be okay with that? But you know what? They are vocal, and the thing that's kind of unfortunate right now. Hopefully, it changes with the whole vaccine passport thing coming out. But only having the 1,000 fans, it's not gonna be quiet, but it's not gonna be what it could be.
Here's what has to happen: the players got to step up their game, right? Well, the fans got to get into it too, just a bit. We got to make sure. Yeah. What is it? What can you fit? Like 4,400 at the Gardens, something like that.
On a good day, yeah.
Those 1,000 people just have to make up for the rest, the 3,400 that you're missing.
Exactly.
And I just assume they will.
Oh, 100%.
I've heard 2,000 in there, and it sounds like I need a new microphone. It's broken or something like that. So I think they got this locked. That's not even a problem. Noise isn't a problem.
No. And the thing that's kind of the crazy about it is, so I was helping out at the doors, with the contact tracing and stuff. I was just all over the Gardens this past week, but I was helping out at the doors with the contact tracing, and we were playing a game. Jared, an intern who I'm sure you'll meet when you get to North Bay at some point. He was the one kind of taking point on it, and he had this little clicker. And we were playing a game called "What Leafs Legend Number Are We At Now?" And it would be like, "Oh, we're at 42. Oh, that's Tyler Bozak or something, right?" Like, but we had to count the attendance coming in, and the first game was like, the first scrimmage was like 150 some people. Like, of course it's not going to be 1,000. It's training camp. We're waiting for the regular season. But so you can only sit across the side with where the media booth is, and then section 9. That's the only areas that the fans are allowed to sit. And it looked pretty full, just of that 100 and some people. So, nice. You fit 1,000 people in there, it's going to be pretty crazy on the one side. There's gonna be some parties.
Love it. Now we mentioned it earlier, but the battalion did have a special guest at training camp, at least for one game, in Justin Brazeau. He signed a new contract with the Providence Bruins. We haven't talked about that yet, but he's moving on from the Maple Leafs, going to try his hand at another organization. I think it's the right move. I got to be honest. I think it's the right move. Boston does well with the big guys who, maybe aren't as fleet of foot. You look at like Nick Ritchie or something like that, who's now a Maple Leaf.
Ironically.
But I may just straight up trade Nick Ritchie for Justin Brazeau. And, they turned him into a player because the Ducks weren't doing it.
No.
And I think the forward core just maybe isn't as deep as well in Boston as it is in Toronto. Like on defense, they're stacked. But when it comes to like minor league forwards, hey, why not? Boston's got a great system. Providence has been around forever. And the guy's got a shot that would, it could probably go right through you if it ever hit you. So I'm hoping this is, he'll put it together. It's another AHL contract, which means he'd have to sign an NHL contract to get called up. But it also means he gets consistent playing time somewhere with, higher caliber opponents. And there's nothing against the East Coast Hockey League, the ECHL, but hey, if you can get into the AHL and make decent money while doing it, go for it.
So I hate this. I hate this move so much. I absolutely hate it because I'm a Leafs fan. Is it
because you just got your new Brazeau jersey minted?
No, because I'm a Leafs fan and he's gone to join the Bruins organization and I hate the Bruins.
I'd love to know how many more offers or opportunities he got. Because I got to be honest, as much as I don't like teams like the Bruins or the Sens, and to a certain extent Montreal, if you notice like a gap in their pipeline of players, if you will, why not go there? Like Coe in San
Oh
Jose.
yeah.
San Jose's got a weak system right now.
Yep.
And man, he gets in the right situation. Bam.
Oh yeah. 100%.
He's found gold.
100%.
San Jose does a lot of good things with lower draft picks, and he's only fourth round, so he's midway.
Yeah.
But they've done a lot of great stuff with lower draft picks. Joe Pavelski, he was an eighth round pick.
Yeah, it doesn't even exist. Yeah.
So
well, the thing about Coe too is I think he could have like we talked to him about it where he kind of started the season slowly. I think if he starts that season and maintains the production that he had in the back half, he's not a fourth round pick. Like he has the potential. Yeah, he has the potential to be a middle six, top six guy at the NHL level. I would say, like, I mean, I'm not a professional scout or anything. And just like I look at Justin Brazeau, he has the opportunity to do some damage in Boston. And just for the record, I don't hate him going and getting a deal. I'm really glad for him and happy, but I hate that it's with the Bruins. I hate it so much, but good for him. And yeah, it was funny. I didn't realize that he was here. I had seen him about a week prior. Mr. Bob Coles and I were out in the parking lot talking. And he came out of the rink and we were like, "Oh, hey, Justin, how's it going?" type of thing. But yeah, he was out there the practice before the first scrimmage. And he's skating around. He has the blue and white pants on and stuff. And it's like number 16 and white. And I'm looking at my roster being like, there's no number 16 and white, but I was at the far end of the rink, so I couldn't tell who it was. So when I go up to Yogi, I'm like, "Hey, who's 16 and white?" And he just kind of whispers in my ear. He's like, "That's Brazeau." And I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Talk about a man amongst boys, though. Holy
yeah. Oh yeah. Well,
like
that
if
was
I
the other
walked
thing.
onto a basketball court, like I'm 6 foot even, but I would look compared to those guys.
Well, the thing that was funny was he's like dancing around. It was mostly the regulars that were out there for that practice, because then the rookies were coming out for the scrimmage. But he's like dancing around these guys, and then he's like potting them top shelf, and he's like dancing around and all this stuff and having a good time. I'm like, who's this guy and where has he been?
Where did they finally? It's like in Little League World Series when they sneak in like the 13 or 14-year-olds.
Yeah,
maybe they're trying to sneak in.
What's
Braz now? 21, 22?
Yeah. It's just got that. I love it when they got like stubble on their face and it's like, "I am 12." It's like, no, you're not.
Sneaking into like the Little League World Series is like, "Sir, what's going on? My face is just cold and
yeah,
my head isn't." Couldn't tell you. But it's cool. The players got to see somebody of that caliber like on the ice with them and watch the greatest of ease him go around them and probably score all the goals. And it's something they can strive for. It's a goal for them to attain, right? They've seen that. Coe's seen it. He's played with these guys. Probably he didn't play against Brazeau because different conference, but this is something they can look forward to, and they can at least measure their game up to where that level was, even if it was practice, even if it was just scrimmage or what have you. They now have some kind of at least a tangible goal they saw.
Yeah,
they be like, "Man, I got to at least get there."
Yeah, it's concrete. And excuse me, and he stayed around to watch most of the games, like at least in the morning, like the morning games. All 3 days he was there for the majority of them, and that was kind of neat to see him still sticking around and coming back here. And after all this time, it feels like it's been forever, but
he's a nice guy. He probably stayed and signed some stuff too. And
well, you didn't get my stick yet. I'm still waiting on the stick, the game played stick. I'm coming to get it. That's another reason why I hate this deal. But and also on top of it, I mean, we've had him on the podcast a couple of times, and go back and listen to those episodes. They're a little bit out of date now because he's talking about playing in the Leafs organization, but go back and listen to those episodes.
Who cares?
Yeah. And he talks about, like, obviously I think it became a numbers game with the Leafs, and it sucks because he's somebody that the Leafs really need. They need some size up front. They need somebody who can stand in front of the net, a JVR type player who they let walk, and John Tavares, but whatever. That's a conversation for another day. Go Leafs, go, all that fun stuff. Woo. But yeah, like they thought enough of him to bring him to a limited main camp this year because they couldn't bring everybody, but they still brought Justin Brazeau, and you didn't see many guys on AHL deals going to that camp. And I think he just got caught up in the numbers game. And I think the Leafs would have loved to have held on to him, but now he's going to go to Boston. And wouldn't that be appropriate that Boston beats Toronto in another Game 7 and Justin Brazeau gets the game-winning goal, because that's how much of a suffering Leaf fan I am.
My God. Talk about stabbing and twisting.
I need therapy really badly.
The sports therapist might be able to help you.
Yes.
I hope that doesn't happen, although I hope he does score plenty of professional goals in his long career. We'll put it that way. We'll leave it on a happy note.
That's a good way of putting it. Now I have to go and think about me getting hit in the face with a baseball, and I have to think about Brazeau scoring against the Leafs. It's just an awful day. This has been a very, listen, if you need to talk, it's okay. And for anybody listening who does need to talk, there is always a way out, and there is always people who will listen and who will talk to, and professionals to help you with that, or family members. The hardest part about it, though, is admitting you need some help. So, hey, 100%. While we're at it, we might as well plug that. CMHA is your best friend. All right. This is the Frontline Podcast. We thank our producer, Ben Sargent, for making us sound fantastic. Our guest, Brandon Coe, Kortney sob stories, which kept us entertained. What is it? What's the German word? Schadenfreude or something like that, where we revel in your misfortune. That's what we had a little bit of today. Not even going to attempt that.
Even though you're a little bit perfect and schlag. All right. He's
Thanks.
Kenny. I'm Tom Parisi. And if you want to listen to us, Spotify is a place to do it. Also, Apple Music, Google Podcast. If you're watching this on your TV, that's where you can find the full episodes. And you can watch us on YouTube as well. And be sure to follow Battalion's social media for all your transactions, news, player interviews, and everything else in between. This was a lot of fun this time, too. So we'll do it again next time, minus Kortney's misfortunes.